see their thoughts on a few things.
Much Raven and Sottle. We're getting ready for the grand finale here of HCT Shanghai, and it's been quite a week of events. We came here a lot earlier than the event to prepare, and I can't believe the conclusion's already here.
Yeah, but it feels a little bit of deja vu. I feel like we've sat down to cast Hoej versus Kolento not that long ago in the Europe playoffs. We saw exactly these two players go head-to-head.
That's right, and Hoej was able to take it, and he'd be in an unprecedented position to be able to go back-to-back. We've never had a seasoned champion also be the one who win his region's playoffs. That's a remarkable amount of consistency, and also there's another streak on the line here too. Game designer and balance team member Reels, who used to be a pro-level player, he also predicted Hoej, and this guy has been 2 for 2 so far. He predicted Pavel as his champion back in 2016, and he won the BlizzCon, and he predicted Stan Udachi in Winter. There's something in the water, man. I don't even know what's going on here.
I think he even predicted Osaka and Firebat or something ridiculous like that too. He's just the Oracle of Irvine.
That's right. I was kind of comparing him to the octopus that picks the right Super Bowl winner. You know, they always put 2 balls between them. The octopus always picks the right one, like 19 years in a row.
Octopus are apparently very intelligent.
Yeah,
so
I don't know how.
Beating the best sports bettors in the world.
Maybe Reels is his spirit animal is an octopus. Let's take a look at how these guys got to this point for the grand finals. Hoej had to defeat Kranich twice in order to advance, which is a little bittersweet because I know those guys are pretty tight. And of course, in the quarterfinals, he defeated Citizen Napa and then Ant in the semifinals.
Yeah, Kolento had a tough road. Most of his matches going to Game 5. Defeated Diego Diaz, lost to Mage in an incredible match from day one. Then defeated Trunks and then RDU and Nyria to make it to this point in the finals.
Yeah, the skin of his teeth is kind of defining Kolento's run here. Almost every series went the distance. The only one that didn't was against Trunks, but I remember that Game 4, that was also really close. So Kolento, once again, is the underdog in this series. He has to win a handful of unfavorables in order to upset Hoej for the championship.
But we've seen Kolento do that time after time this event. He's defeated Jade Druid twice with his Quest Warrior deck. He defeated RDU's all-aggressive lineup, coming back down 0-2 in an incredible series. So he is a player who's had his back against the wall many times this tournament, and here he is in the finals now.
Yeah, even if he is the 1-3 underdog, I'll never, ever count Kolento out as we take a look at the deck list and show you guys what these have chosen to ban. And I'm kind of anticipating the Paladin being one of the big X factors here from Hoej. It is kind of a deck that's known for him, and it's a deck that's really threatening to almost everything that Kolento has. And it looks like we have the bans in. Quest Rogue has been eliminated from Hoej, and Quest Warrior away from Kolento.
Yeah, Hoej has a very aggressive lineup, which does make the Quest Warrior pretty powerful. I believe we were talking about Shaman as a possible other ban that Hoej may have chosen, as that is another powerful deck against a lot of what Hoej's lineup is trying to do.
Right, and he does have his Quest Rogue, but I think he assumes that his Rogue would be banned because it's so strong against a variety of his opponent's decks if he lost, Shaman, for example. So there's a little bit of mind games going on, because if Hoej banned the Shaman, then Quest Rogue would be good against everything, and then so Hoej operated as if he didn't have Quest Rogue, and then Kolento go ahead and banned it anyways. So we'll see if this changes anything, but I still look at Hoej as the big favorite because his Shaman's really good against everything. Paladin's pretty much good to get a win as well. And I don't know what's going to happen for the rest of the series if Kolento's not able to get a couple of wins early on.
And the Quest Rogue from Kolento is definitely under a lot of pressure here as well. Lots of aggressive decks. This is a lot of the dynamic we've seen throughout this tournament. Lots of players bringing Quest Rogue, lots of players bringing aggressive decks to try and counter Quest Rogue. We actually saw the sort of controlling mid-range decks on the one side of the bracket, the aggressive decks on the other this morning, and it is boiled down to the aggro versus mid-range matchup coming here in the finals.
Yeah, this is really curious because if you look at how the Quest Rogue is, how does it beat a Pirate Warrior, an Evolved Shaman, and a mid-range Murloc Paladin? All 3 of those decks are directly favored against the Quest Rogue. But that's not really stopped a lot of these Quest Rogue players. Look no further than Hoej himself, who I think, if you look at one of the iconic plays of this tournament or just the games, has to be either Kolento making these upsets or Hoej's Quest Rogue play.
Hoej has had some incredibly interesting Quest Rogue play. He made some really unintuitive plays. He had a couple of matches where he even played his Quest as late as turn 5. And that's really not something you see from players who don't have an incredible amount of experience with the deck.
Yeah, so the spread is favored 2-1, 2.5 to 1. So underdog indeed for Kolento, but that hasn't stopped him before. Let's go ahead and send it back over to Raven and Sottle and see what they think about what we talked about.
Thanks a lot, guys. And something that Frodo and Brian Cable brought up was that you know, Hoej has a potential for a great record. You know, winner of the playoffs, winner of that championship as well. But also, if Kolento wins, and to be fair, second place is, you know, pretty close. Kolento's results on Chinese soil will be ridiculous. Like, they're already fantastic, which is what I meant about the second place. But if he wins, that's just another first place on Chinese soil. It's a madness.
And maybe if you come back here a few more times, get into some Gold Series, pick up, maybe you'll have this level of support from the Chinese crowd as well.
I think I do already. I've heard a little bit out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take it.
I think definitely this event is really gained you a lot of fans, just because people get eyes on you more than anything. A lot of, you know, like the pro player base have known you've been around for a very long time, but I feel the more general Hearthstone audience might not have, you know, been able to catch you at tournaments or anything like that. So this has definitely been great. I know hanging out with you has made me even more of a fan.
I've got to ask you very quickly, though, that the video that was tweeted out by the Hearthstone account was been run here a couple of times. Have you been able to, like, watch that back yourself? Like, is it difficult for you to watch back?
I actually haven't watched it yet. I think I would get too emotional. Like, a bunch of people have been tweeting me, you know, all their support, and I'm, you know, tearing up a little bit. So,
nice.
You know, too emotional for me yet. I'll watch it when I get home.
It's really great to hear more from you, though. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of this bit. It's going to be the predictions for the finals, and you are our guest on the desk, so you may start first. Kolento or Hoej?
I mean, I like what Hoej's doing. He's trying to get him from 30 to 0 as fast as possible. Hoej's our boy.
So you just like Hoej for just the aggressive styles?
That, I mean, and he's pretty favored. But, you know, he's a nice kid. I like him.
Okay, I like Hoej too. Sol?
Yeah, Dan actually stole my thunder a little bit. I actually tweeted at Reels when I was choosing my choose a champion. I was like, hey, Reels, buddy, who you picking so I can just piggyback on the back of you? And he responded, said, oh, I haven't picked yet, but I just took a look through the deck lists. I think Hoej makes sense. So I snap picked Hoej as well, and I'm just going to ride this Reels train all the way to the pack money bank.
Okay, well, I would love to go against you guys and pick Kolento, but I've been friends with Hoej for a very long time. I've cast a lot of his matches. He's a super cool guy, and I just hope, mainly because of that, he makes it and he becomes the champion. I am very, very excited for this finals, and we can take a look just one last time before we get into it as to how the players got here. Hoej taking down Citizen Napa, then taking down our lovely guest on the desk, and is ready to face Kolento.
Yeah, Nyria was vanquished by Kolento in that Ukraine mirror match. Very storied history between those two players, but this time Kolento was the man that came out on top, and then that crushing victory for RDU early on. Really, really...
I don't want to talk about it.
I know. One game away yet again. The RDU story is heartbreaking. Wasn't eligible 1 year, then 1 game off last year, 1 game off yet again, but it's Kolento that made it through that side of the bracket to match up now against Hoej.
Yeah, well, that's how they got there, and we can find out who is going to be the winner right now as the players are ready for the finals. So first of all, let's welcome the first player from Ukraine. It's Kolento. And his opponent from Denmark, we've got Hoej.
The championship! Hoej versus Kolento.
When I'm on stage, crowd doesn't really affect me too much. It's mostly about the desire to win.
Before I went into this tournament, I felt like the field was really, really strong. It will mean a lot to be the best of them.
The players in this tournament are known to me. I have been playing against them many times before. If I'll beat them, it'll feel good, but it's mostly about winning.
Winning tournament is really, really important for me because my main focus is to do well in tournaments. So like winning one of the biggest tournaments this year would be insane.
Hoej versus Kolento. Let's see what you got.
Trip down memory lane as Hoej steps into the arena against Kolento, a rematch from the Europe Spring Playoffs of 2017, just a couple months back. And maybe that was prescient for what's going to be happening right now, as we have one final best of 5 to determine it all. My name is Frodan. I'm joined by Brian Kibler, and we have the utmost pleasure of bringing you guys the grand finals of the spring season.
Yeah, I think it's only appropriate, given the domination of Europe in this tournament, that we see a rematch of the Europe playoffs here in the finals. Both tremendous players who have fought their way through an incredible field. Now it's all down to this.
That's right. And, you know, one of the more interesting things, too, if you take a look at the hard numbers, is how well spread the balance has been across all the decks. No one class is truly running away with it. We have Quest Rogue with a +3 record. And then right behind it, at the very opposite end of the stream, Paladin at -3 games. So everything's within a plus to -3 game spread. Of course, Priest went 50-50 with a 1-1, and then Hunter and Warlock wasn't there. But outside the 6 classes there, I think it's been very balanced.
Yeah, I do like the divide by 0 null on some of our classes here. Sorry, Rex. Sorry, Gul'dan. You're gonna have to wait until Knights of the Frozen Throne. But
give us at least one business day for that, Kibler.
We are into game number 1 here. Hoej with the Paladin against Kolento with the Shaman. This is actually one of the good matchups for Kolento in this series.
Yeah, one of the very few. And this is actually why it was slightly surprising, at least to us, because on paper, Shaman is very good against Hoej's lineup because it's able to manage the aggression and put out a decent amount of aggression itself against decks like Quest Rogue.
Yeah, and in particular, in this matchup, cards like Devolve are specifically very powerful. Hoej's Paladin deck revolves very heavily around buffs, the synergies between the Murlocs themselves, so Devolve can really put a damper on that, not to mention just the efficient removal, like Jade Claws and Maelstrom Portal, both of which are in Kolento's opening hand.
Now, Kolento has all 3 of the 1-mana minions in his deck. He runs 6 of them, and those are half of them. And now he has an opportunity to layer it. What are you really looking at here, Kibler?
So Hoej wants to maximize the use of his various synergistic buffs here. The Grimskull Chum on turn 1 would potentially buff one of his other minions, but would reduce the value of his opponent's High Caller. If he gets a hit on one of the 1-drops here, he can have a very powerful turn 2. This does leave him vulnerable to patches on turn 1, though, which is something that you want to be aware of.
Right, and this damage efficiency is really important. If Kolento chooses to pull out patches now, he won't be able to hit a weapon charge, but he leaves his mana available in case he needs to use Jade Claws or maybe something else, whatever he picks up.
And Hoej getting the buff in the Vilefin Inquisitor is pretty nice because the Vilefin Inquisitor has now 4 health, which makes it very difficult for most of Kolento's removal, especially early in the game, to really deal with it. It also doubles the power of the Vilefin Inquisitor, and that makes it much more significant a threat. Finja, the draw for Hoej, not necessarily powerful right now, but that's a card that can be extremely powerful in this matchup because it is difficult for the Shaman to remove, and it lets the Paladin deck go wide in the board.
Well, Kolento has plenty of plays, including we were first eyeing the Jade Claws, and he'll find a way to try to squeeze in things like Primal Fin Totem too. As you take a look to his road, which has been rocky to say the least, but he's gotten here nonetheless with only 1 defeat, same thing as Hoej. And of course, even in that defeat, it was very close. If Kolento versus RD wasn't the series of the tournament, you might look at Kolento versus Mage as another one, as a potential candidate.
Yeah, there's been some really remarkable series so far, and here we are in the finals, hoping to have another great one here. We're already off to the races. You know, Hoej with 1-drop into 1-drop, 1-drop, and now Kolento needs to figure out exactly how he can manage this. Jade Claw is definitely pretty attractive.
Yeah, well, the number one thing that you're really scared about is the threat. Oh, wow, interesting. Coin Evolve. I wasn't really expecting this right off the bat here.
All right, well. Ooh, a Succubus. All right, well, that is a very powerful Evolve for Kolento. Even the Swordsman to give it +1/+1, this means that even with Rockpool Hunter, it will actually kill the Vilefin Inquisitor.
Wow. Yeah, that Evolve was very ballsy, but Kolento recognizing that if I Evolve here, I can run away with board dominance before my opponent has an opportunity to land Megasaur, and I can set up for my mana usage anyways for Primal Fin Totem on the following turn.
And looking at this, I really like this play from Kolento. This is a very sort of out-of-the-box play. In many cases, players will really just hold on to Evolve until they have a very large board, or even specifically until they have Doppelgangster. But this is the kind of play that really sets top players like Kolento apart from the rest.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it, to be quite honest. And now Koi's stuck in a position where either he lets the Succubus dominate the board for a little bit, or he trades his Vilefin Inquisitor into that 5/3, which
he can take the value trade here. And that does mean that he still has the 3/4 left afterwards. So now Kolento, he could try and value trade here, but that does leave him open to potentially getting his Succubus picked off, and then the Inquisitor getting to potentially run away with the game.
But if he does trade, then that means Primal Phantom's not challenged directly by that Rockpool Hunter. It would have to get buffed or removed through a weapon of some sort.
Yeah, one of the cards that Kolento is definitely concerned about next turn is the Gentle Megasaur you mentioned earlier. He wants to ensure that there isn't a powerful board for Hoej that the Megasaur can buff. He's also got to be considering the possibility of something like Consecration. If he does try to take the value trade and then play more to the board, Consecration could be a very big problem for him in terms of sweeping up what he has. Though the Primal Phantom, even if he does have Consecration, will require additional removal to get rid of it.
Think about taking it slow. Yeah,
all right,
just hero power.
Go ahead and hero power here.
You have a chance to get Taunt Totem or the Healing Totem. Both would have been pretty nice. The Healing Totem kind of makes it so that Hoej would probably have the onus of killing that Succubus before he heals too much. And then I guess in this case, if you got Spell Damage Totem, he can also plan for Maelstrom Portal in the future.
Hydrologist finds Noble Sacrifice, which is the best tempo option here. Though Kolento does still have his Jade Claws up, so he can't use Noble Sacrifice to protect his minion from the Succubus attack necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, kind of I think Hoej's also trying to plan around his future Finja, which is very clear turn number 5. He could set up the Secret as well preemptively, but that means Rockpool Hunter's not being developed. And Hoej's running a little low on resources. Maybe he feels like he needs Getaway Kodo in order to be able to have more cards to play, but we know Shaman has Devolve as a potential card that can disrupt that.
He's going to pick Getaway Kodo and going to go in and buff up the Hydrologist to try to give him 3 different minions that don't die to the Jade Claws.
Yeah.
He is giving up one of these to the trade from Kolento's Succubus, but he does minimize the impact of the weapon.
Yep, and also Jade Lightning becomes a lot worse if it can't load onto 1 minion, and he spreads out the stats. Very good technical play here from Hoej.
Now, Kolento has a bit of an awkward hand, a lot of totems that don't match up very well into what Hoej has on the board here.
Yeah,
kind of an
and
spot.
the portal puts things out of range as well.
Yeah, everything is 3 health on Hoej's side of the board, so Maelstrom Portal, even with spell damage, won't clear off anything by itself.
He can use the portal and the weapon to clear off all the 3 attack minions,
yes.
and then Primal Phantom doesn't get directly challenged by the Rockpool Hunter.
It's true.
With the bonus upside of maybe something really juicy comes out of the portal, like a Southsea Deckhand.
Oh my god.
The sequencing!
That's exactly the opposite.
The sequencing actually mattered there.
The Emerald Hive Queen leaving every minion in the Kolento's hand stranded.
Wow. And Hoej's going to play Finja, which means the Emerald Hive Queen won't allow him to play, it won't die next turn.
Yeah, Hoej can actually attack his Rockpool Hunter into the Emerald Hive Queen to ensure that there's no minion on the board either, and ensure that Finja can attack into the Emerald Hive Queen or just something else next turn to keep this stranded.
Is there any? There is a reason to actually wait to see what happens, but in this case he got punished. And Finja coming down really threatens Kolento without Devolve.
Doppelgangster, that's a 7-cost Doppelgangster here. And Kolento, he's already used an Evolve. He can't evolve this away now. This is a disaster for Kolento.
I wonder what Kolento will do here. He's choosing to play Mana-Tide Totem. Seems to be the most mana-efficient play. And maybe he can get that Devolve,
all right,
which is big.
That is an important card for Kolento here to come back into this game.
Whoa, boy. Hoej can't kill that Mana-Tide, but he can sure build up a big board with Finja. And now this deck is a lot worse at synergizing off of Finja compared to what you're normally used to seeing prior to Journey to Un'Goro. There's a couple of minions that can help, like War Leader, but then there's also things like the Grimskill Chump.
Finds more secrets here. A Noble Sacrifice and another Getaway Kodo. He can use his hero power here. So one of the big things, that Sunkeeper Tarim draw for Hoej was huge because it means that even a Devolve from Kolento will still potentially leave him with just a board of 3/3s.
Right.
So he's setting up a board here that Kolento now has the answer for in terms of Devolve. He won't be able to get the Murloc synergies, but he's able to still buff them back up thanks to that Sunkeeper Tarim.
Right. And because he has a Getaway Kodo already, Maybe he actually would have liked the redemption so that we can guarantee Murloc stay on the board and maybe pressure the Shaman. As Kolento is staring down a big board, which I almost certain he's going to devolve.
Jade Claws picked up, so maybe you can clear off one of the bodies at least post-devolve.
Yeah, and the Getaway Kodo will also return most likely a very weak minion unless there's a big taunt that gets in the way. Genzo the Shark, which just so happens to very much favor Hoej in this position.
God, Genzo. When it attacks, both players draw until they have 3 cards. Hoej's hand nearly empty. If one of these minions goes down, he can play Getaway Kodo and then Sunkeeper Terram attack with Genju, and just draw 2 more cards.
Yeah, don't even need Divine Favor. A lot of the aggressive Murloc Paladins run Divine Favor as a primary source of card draw. Hoej is playing a mid-range slower variant with Vine Cleaver and Deathwing. And there you go. Card draw slapped into the deck.
He even got a Murloc with an ability and a possessed villager here too.
Yeah, so Sunkeeper Terram just pretty much synergizes perfectly with everything. Kolento is in deep trouble. Wants to give the Getaway Kodo to Hoej on this Wisp. And, you know, I'm kind of wondering what kind of world Kolento could come back in this game. He has enough mana for the Doppelgangster to evolve next turn if he picked it up, but he's already used one.
He's going to need, I believe, another Devolve. The Sunkeeper Terram. Hoej has Wisp Grimscale Chum now. They can play alongside it.
Jeez.
He can play a full board, all buffed. He can clear off nearly everything Kolento has in play.
Right.
I mean, he can play the Chum here, kill off one of the totems, kill off the 2/2, then turn everything into 3/3s. Or kill off the 1/1. It doesn't really matter either one. Doesn't have to be that one. He can just kill both totems. What am I talking about? Regardless, he can put Kolento in a really bad spot and draw a bunch of cards.
And also supplant his tempo to just control the board, because the 3/3s and the weapon would just kill Terram alone instead of Getaway Kodo, which is what Hoej is planning by playing it instead of the Grimscale Chum. Great sequencing and planning here from Hoej. I think all he's calculating right now is how much damage can cards like Flame Tongue do? What do I want to trade on the 1/1, for example? I think I'd rather just draw now as opposed to play Terram. Okay, he's ready. He's satisfied with just taking 1 card here. And I wonder what card would have changed everything. Maybe if it was a Consecration. Kolento picks up Jade Lightning. That's not going to cure the situation. And he's also staring a fair amount of damage down.
Yeah, Hoej's
Getaway Kodo too.
Yeah, Hoej's board is protected. He has the Kodo. You know, Hoej did use a lot of resources early in the game. He recognized that he wanted Getaway Kodo in order to potentially protect those minions, give himself more to work with. And he even still has Genzo up. His Getaway Kodo, he has Genzo. He has so many ways to continue to generate resources while pressuring Kolento here.
Trying to think of what Kolento can do here. His best play is for tempo is to set Doppelgangster, but that's pretty weak. And then his best removal plan is Jade Lightning on the Genzo. And then you can kind of assume it's Getaway Kodo again, so you just give the Genzo right back, but at least he doesn't draw cards the next turn.
It's just a really, really rough spot for Kolento here.
Yep. I do want to point out that this Paladin is a lot better at fighting against the Murlocs compared to other decks, primarily because it's not nearly as all-in on the Murloc plan. It's got Deathwing as an ultimate clear. It's got Vine Cleaver to fight the long games of attrition, and that's a Hoej special. A lot of people started copying Hoej's version because of how effective it was at stringing out the long games, such as this one.
All right, well, Kolento recognizes that, okay, that's going to be Getaway Kodo, decides to Jade Lightning a Wisp. When did you think that a Wisp would be targeted by a 4-cost removal spell in the finals of a championship?
Right, and also having value as a tempo play, because Hoej played Wisp into the Terram, which is like a pseudo-quest rogue.
And Hoej won a previous match with vanishing Wisps that were used evolved into too. He's just a Wisp specialist over here.
The Whisperer.
Ooh. And now look at this. He's actually emptying his entire hand, save the Stonehill Defender.
Right.
Genzo getting to attack, draw him 2 more cards.
Consecration, a really powerful one, and Gentle Megasaur can be the final push. I mean, Grime Street Protector, why not? Stack it up. Hoej is going to make his victory push for game number 1, And this is a favorable matchup for Kolento, but apparently he doesn't win those. He wins the unfavorables.
Yeah, Kolento's won all the bad matchups, losing the good ones. This is China, though. You know, he will find a way, I'm sure.
Not out of this game.
No, sir. Not even K-Guy can handle this.
Kolento going to think it over, but we're having trouble finding any line. There's 10, 13, 17 damage represented, and a single buff card or a single point of damage would end it. Although the Bloodstone Courser does stall, Gentle Megashore can still wrap this game up with a big buff.
Or Tyrion.
Or Tyrion.
Doesn't kill him this turn, but it's going to be hard to beat.
So he's got 10, 13. If he gets +3 attack, that's it. If he gets Wind Fury, that's it.
Yeah, both. How about both?
And that's going to wrap up game number 1. Hoej climbs up to an early lead and puts Kolento in a desperate spot because that Shaman needed to get a win fast.
Though Kolento has been down before, 2 of his matches already this weekend. He was down 0-2 before mounting a 3-2 comeback. Can he climb back again?
I mean, this guy is the one who's been on record multiple times this weekend talking about, you know, all you have to do is be smart and good at Hearthstone. Maybe he wants a challenge and wants to put himself in a desperate situation so he can unleash his X factor.
Yeah, Hearthstone's just too easy for Kolento. He got to spot his opponent a couple of games.
Well, apparently the recipe for Kolento to make series really exciting is to go down 0-2 and then reverse sweep, having very unfavorable matchups all the way through.
It's worked so far.
Yeah, I mean that's just
why change anything?
It's true. Don't mess with success. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Kolento, with the Paladin out of the way, by the way, I do think Paladin was one of the stronger decks against the entire lineup, but there's also Shaman. Hoej Shaman is good against Druid, the Quest Rogue, and is even against the Shaman too. So I kind of expect Kolento to be able to stick onto the Shaman here, but Hoej's got plenty of good answers.
I mean, we did see Kolento playing against RDU. He lost the first 2 games, in fact, lost several favorable matchups. And then it was, in fact, against RDU's Shaman that he made the 3-game comeback. Yeah,
that's right. He had to win an even matchup and then win 2 unfavorable matches. One of them, of course, being rather unfavorable. So we go into game number 2. Hoej opens up with the mulligan on the patches. I guess there's comfort knowing that you can't mulligan immediately, but that's not what you want here. Kolento's going to be on the Jade Druid. Now, last time we visited this exact matchup with Kolento, he played against Ardu's Pirate Warrior, which started off with the N'Zoth's first mate. Look at that opening hand here from the Pirate Warrior.
Kolento's got some good ones, too. Finds a Jade Idol for turn 1, has Wild Growth or Hero Power available for turn 2, depending on what he wants to do.
Is that a captain? Oh my goodness.
Okay, well, Hoej is not messing around. This is an excellent draw for the Dane here. He's going to put the pressure on Kolento right away.
Yeah, Wild Growth is a fantastic card, but Kolento's going to get an Innervate to piece all this together.
And this is super awkward because he really wants to play his Wild Growth this turn, but not using his Hero Power means that captain is going to seriously punish him.
Yeah, instant captain here from Hoej. He's usually been very slow and meticulous about his plays, but this one is fairly obvious as he sets up for a big power spike, not just this turn, but also the double upgrade South Sea captain. Okay, that's that gives Kolento kind of a fighting chance.
It does. It allows him to set up for a Jade Behemoth next turn and gets him that much closer to Primordial Drake. Primordial Drake, one of the cards that helped swing this matchup away from being abysmal for Jade Druid not long ago. Now the number of substantial taunts you have allows you to get better into the game against these aggressive pirate decks.
All right, well, Hoej, we talked about how he lined up this turn 3 play with double upgrade and South Sea deckhand. And even if the, Jade Behemoth comes out, Spellbreaker is waiting. That is one of the specialties of Hoej in his deck. He has 2 Spellbreakers in, when a lot of times people are putting in Naga Corsair, Grimy Gadgeteer, and even Immortal Strikes.
Well, the key is that taunt is cheat, and you need to get the taunt out of the way so you can get to the face.
That's right.
That's the smart code.
I mean, back when Pirate Warrior was first starting to become an actual deck, a long time ago, back when Whispers of the Old Gods were a thing. And even earlier, some people played Iron Beak Owl as a way to silence and get past stuff. Now that Iron Beak Owl is very inefficient for its mana cost, Spellbreaker kind of does the same thing for a much better body. So a lot of aggressive decks tend to run with that.
Well, this is turn 3, and Kolento is at 13 life. He's got a taunt, but there's that Spellbreaker.
And yes, if you play Spellbreaker,
He
he's
just
dead.
dies.
Yes.
There's just 13 more coming from Hoej.
Like we said, Kolento wants to go down 0-2 early on and kind of make it dramatic for a comeback finish, or he's just going to roll over and die. He's just going to nourish and see if he can live and hope that this Primordial Drake is going to be able to carry him through.
Well, this does mean that he lives through the turn.
Oh,
but
man.
maybe not next turn. Frothing Berserker is going to make that Primordial Drake very painful.
Yeah, Kolento needs the... I'm trying to think of a card. I think he needs Earthen Scales.
He needs the Hand of God right here. He does not draw it.
Hey, Curator, oh man, it's not bad, but if he survives his next turn, which he won't because we know the Spellbreaker, he might have been able to see the end of the woods, but looks like Hoej just got enough here.
Yeah, that is one Frothing Berserker. Spellbreaker going to punch the way through, and Hoej up to a quick 2-0 lead.
Things are looking bad for Kolento. Hoej is one game away from calling himself the spring champion and rolling over Kolento 2-0. By the way, a really interesting scenario has been given to us here. Hoej has tweeted right before the series saying, quote, "My career started back in Via game with Kolento, and now this tournament ends with Kolento." Still a better love story than Twilight. And then, and the reason why is because they were placed in the same group for Hoej's first big tournament. He qualified for it, and then Kolento beat him 3-0. But Hoej, in the decider match of the group, won 3-2, knocking Kolento out, and then he went on to win his tournament, and since then has been a presence in the scene. I remember those upsets. I was casting that event, and a lot of people were like, who's this Hoej guy? He's beating all my favorite players. He was actually emoting, too, with Mech Mage back then.
I remember that.
He was like saying greetings as he like fireballed with his Goblin Blast Mage. Everyone was like, ah, he's doing this to my favorite players. And ever since then, Hoej's kind of really grown to be one of the endeared players of the pro scene in Hearthstone.
It is really funny to think back to that event where Hoej had his breakout. Lots of people thought of him as such a bad-mannered player, and now he's just the nicest guy in the world. Everyone roots for him.
Yeah, he eased up real quick on those emotes. I mean, he was like you. He said he thought emotes were playful.
Yep.
He wasn't actually trying to intend anything. He was trying to make it lighthearted because, you know, there are some times where you just win. It's the card games. You get the nuts. You roll over your opponent. So he's trying to, like, relieve the sadness by making it more lighthearted, but obviously it had the opposite effect.
That's the exactly opposite. Yeah, exactly how people interpret it. But all right, well, it is Hoej on the Shaman, and this is the deck that Kolento reverse swept against RDU. Can he do it again? He's going to have to win this tournament.
And I want to remind you, Kolento was down 0-2 against RDU. It was game 3. He had to play Evolved Shaman versus Evolved Shaman as his best matchup. And now we are exactly in that same seat. He has to sweep Evolved Shaman 3 times. He did it to RDU. And we'll see if he can do it right now. Looking at the opening hands here, Hoej's got a little bit awkward draw, and I think that's the beginning of something here.
Yeah, neither player has a particularly powerful draw here. No one-drops, no real early development for either player. They both have a little bit slower draws, so this will not be an explosive game. All right, exploding out of the game. It's coin hero power from Kolento.
I was not expecting this at all. Kolento has 2 Stonehill Defenders. I thought he was going to pass. Coin Stonehill Defender into a second one. Utilize your Discover options to fill out the curve. What is he thinking here,
So I think what he wants to do here is hero power, into Defender, into Thing from Below. So it allows him to maximize his ability to play something significantly threatening early in the game with that Thing from Below.
Right, so then his 4th turn isn't limited by the Discover option, which usually at best for a 4-mana slot, you're playing Sentient Shield Masters at 3-5. And in this case, on turn 4, you're playing Thing from Below.
And this is the sort of thing that's very, very rarely seen. You know, just coin hero power, but Kolento, he is going to try and ride this and get that thing from below out quickly.
And I wonder if that's an adaptation based off Hoej passing his turn 1. You're saying maybe I can get away with this because I've seen my opponent pass turn 1 and he doesn't really have a good follow-up here. Kolento doesn't have a way to answer that Manatide Totem, so he's going to draw at least 2 cards. And that is A-okay with Hoej because he's got more follow-up to this.
White Eyes, Earth Elemental, Hot Spring Guardian. All pretty powerful cards in the right situation. Looking at Kolento's hand, he has a lot of expensive cards, so I think he may pass on the Earth Elemental because it would really put a damper on his mana curve.
Yeah, not to mention that in this matchup, you can't get too attached to big minions because of the threat of Devolve. You know that if you play Earth Elemental, not only are you committing a huge amount of mana, if your opponent devolves to a very weak 4-mana minion, even like a 3/3 or 4/4, you're going to get completely blown out the following turns.
Definitely. Oh, he is going to take it, though. All right, so he may be thinking that this is a game that, because both players have had slow starts, may very well go to a... oh, wow, I actually just was shocked by that. That seems incredibly strange to me.
It's true.
Has this been banned against him every single time?
That's right. Shaman's been banned against Hoej every single series. He's played Rogue, Paladin, Warrior exclusively. He's a 5-1 with Paladin, actually 6-1 now because of that. And Shaman was the first time he's played in the Grand Finals.
That is remarkable.
I mean, Shaman's had a pretty decent win rate, too, in the tournament. We're talking about one of those decks that are positive right now, and it was one of those decks that people were soft-targeting a lot of the time. They're saying, well, Shaman, we expect to be a very popular deck because it's aggressive and kills other aggro decks. Some people were putting Sea Giants in, some people were putting Crazed Alchemists in.
Well, now in its maiden voyage for Hoej's Shaman deck in this particular tournament, he's going to have to figure out exactly how he wants to navigate this turn. He can obviously take out the Stoneclaw Totem here, but barring that, he has a thing from below he could play that does potentially walk into a Flame Tongue Totem.
Yeah, or Jade Lightning, which is the biggest fear, I think. But I guess if he Jade Lightnings, he's not killing the Manatide Totem, so you're able to replace your card.
So Hoej has picked up pretty significant advantage from this Manatide Totem already. Kolento does have a pretty big fistful of cards as well, though, but that's mostly because he hasn't played much.
Right. And with Shaman Mirrors, resource battles is a huge factor a lot of the times because many times, because it's a mirror, it comes down to who can grind each other down. And you can see that these guys are fighting very much similar to the mid-range Shaman days, not too long ago, like 6 to 8 months ago, where a lot of people would be very conservative and try to go for dramatic swing turns.
Well, Hoej may get a nice swing here if he does go with the Jade Lightning on the thing from below. He also he doesn't get to use all of his mana that way though, so he may actually just make a trade, perhaps even play a second Manatide, dig even deeper. But he does have a pretty full hand, so drawing too many extra cards could be a problem.
It is true. I mean, a lot of people look at Manatide Totem as a huge resource and able to generate a lot of card advantage, but there is such thing as too many Manatides, and I've been in that situation against a lot of decks that just let me draw, and then...
You can always evolve them.
Yeah, and then you're stuck with like double Bloodlust and Aya and Doppelgangster. You can't use all of it. And then when it comes down to it, your opponent like goes for a big swing through Maelstrom Portals, and then you're just down in card resources when it comes down to the wire. But I mean, I don't know if this is one of those matchups that ends up seeing that kind of fatigue plan a lot.
Looks like Flame Tongue time, though. We once again have some dancing totems. Double Flame Tongue. All right,
yeah,
time to go.
I like this a lot. It puts a lot of pressure on. It confuses the casters. Everything you wanted to play.
Yeah, those Flame Tongues are, in fact, not where they appear.
Yeah, so what looks like to be the case is actually the inverse of this. The Flame Tongues are inside each other, and then
they're calling from inside the house?
Yeah, that's right. The files are inside the Flame Tongue Totems.
I like that. Nice Zoolander.
Hoej in dominant position here. If he's able to just sweep away this Doppelgangster, Kolento is getting blown out, and this is looking more one-sided with each turn. The Manatide Totem draws a card. Hoej has a 1 and 4. Of course, you get the spell damage totem. That's the most appealing, but that also is weak for development and tempo. He could end up just using Jade Claw's totem. Wait, that's also mana inefficient too. Huh. Maybe he's just Aya's.
He pretty clearly wants to kill these Doppelgangsters, and if he kills them with his totems, he runs the risk of losing them all to a Maelstrom Portal.
Right, right. Maelstrom Portal would be actually devastating, so I don't like that either. Huh. And I mean, both players have played really slow, so you can assume everything is on the table. There's nothing that indicates that they wouldn't have a Jade Lightning or they wouldn't have a Maelstrom Portal or Devolve.
We're going to calculate all the possibilities here.
What if you just Jade Lightning a 2-2? Is that too inefficient, you think? You have 2 Jade Lightnings.
I think it's totally reasonable. You have tons of cards. I think Jade Claw's Jade Lightning here is not at all off the table. You spread your board wider. Kind of Bloodlust. Wow, okay. I wasn't even thinking this.
He's got 2 Jade Lightnings and Jade Claws. He's going to go face. The crowd approves.
All right, that is 7 life. Hoej has just lethal in 2 Jade Lightnings. We weren't even looking at that. We were thinking about fighting for the board. Hoej, though, he smells blood. Pidgey says smork.
Oh, that was brilliant. That's something that we didn't think about immediately because we're talking about board control because that's what usually matters in this matchup. Hoej sees that he has 2 Jade Lightnings, and you don't heal in this deck. Wait, Kolento had the opportunity to. He had the Hot Spring Guardian as an option.
Is there any way out of this for Kolento? There's no way for him to put together enough damage to win the game before those Jade Lightnings will end it. Bloodlust can help him clear the board.
But that means he has 1 turn to swing everything, and that's not going to be enough, I think.
Has to trade into all these, able to keep around 2 Doppelgangsters, but Hoej's still at 30 and just has lethal with these Jade Lightnings over the course of 2 turns.
Yeah, you can just wait next turn even. Just set up a board this turn as intimidating as you can. Doppelgangster Evolve.
Yeah.
Let your opponent deal with whatever shenanigans you can.
He's got it all.
And as long as nothing catastrophic happens, I'm thinking about Corrupted Healbot, but that's a 5-mana card.
I cannot think of a single way that Hoej can lose this game. Kolento could find another Hot Springs Guardian, perhaps, if he finds...
He has a Stonehill
Defender, he can find that. But still, even then, Hoej can Doppelgangster Evolve here. He can play Aya. There's still just so many things he needs to deal with. And he can't just play around, you know, the double Jade Lightning to face.
This entire weekend, the casters, the players on Twitter watching alongside have been kind of pointing out and observing the mastery of Hoej's play. They're calling it flawless. They're saying brilliant. People are already crowning him as potentially the best player of 2017 so far in all of his play. And it comes down to the final turn for Kolento. He's even set up a way to play around Hot Spring Guardian. From start to finish, the Dane has proved his proficiency and mastery of all decks, understanding the meta, calling it right on the field, and taking out big name after big name. This is Kolento's last turn.
He's trying to find something. He's trying to dig deep. Is there any way he can actually win this game? He's going to try and keep himself alive on the board, but the board is not what's going to kill him. It is that Jade Lightning in Hoej's hand.
And that is going to do it. Kolento gets his last bits of damage. Hoej is going to breathe it in. Jade Lightning to the face.
Look at that smile.
Is the spring champion for 2017.
Yeah, and he has come so far. From last year, we said he just didn't have enough results. He was disappointed in his results. He was disappointed in his play. Now, he has come here. He is the champion.
Back-to-back championship tour victories here for Hoej. He started off in the spring playoffs. He ended it in the spring season championship. The first player to do it, and hopefully not the last of its kind. Well, I am absolutely ecstatic for Hoej. Years of hard work. He also was in the last call, by the way, in 2016. And we mentioned that 2016's last call invitational was full of killers. Shikanu Dachi, winter champion. Pavel, world champion. RDU, #1 point leader in top 8. And Hoej, he is the spring champion. I could not be more excited for the guy. What a great end to the tournament.
恭喜Hoej获得我们春季赛的冠军. Wow, amazing! What a game! What a tournament! How are you feeling now, Hoej, man?
I don't have any words. Like it's the best feeling in my life.
哎，他已经无法表达自己内心的感受了，这是他这辈当中最棒的瞬间。All right, so could you please tell us what is the key of winning all this? I mean, this is amazing.
Yeah, I don't know what the key are. Like, I just prepared used so much time on it, and I want to give it like a big shout out to my teammates, Sixo and Surrender, for helping me to get this point. Without them, I wouldn't be here.
Alright， 他说他这一次也没有什么秘诀了，就是不断努力，不断的练习，最终获得了冠军。他在这里想感谢自己的队友，感谢所有支持他的粉丝，包括我们现场所有观众朋友们，给大家最热烈的掌声好吗 ？Thank you very much. Thank you so much. All right, so anything to the fans? Could you please describe your feelings to the fans, to the world, everyone's watching in front of the screen?
Thanks for all the people voting for me and all the nice messages on Twitter. It means a lot. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, thank you so much. 我们再次把掌声送给我们的 Hoej. 好 ，Now without overdue, this is the moment, man. So now please welcome franchise lead Hearthstone Esports J Joe. 欢迎炉石传说电竞负责人 J Joe 颁上我们的奖杯。What a trophy!
On behalf of Blizzard Esports and the Hearthstone team, congratulations to the HCT Spring Champion Hoej!
Raise the trophy! Woo! Wow! Amazing! Thank you so much. Wow, what a game, what a game. Thank you so much. Thank you very much here and also in front of the screen. This is the first time HCT here in China. Thank you so much. It's a beautiful game. And I'm gonna see you. We are going to meet next time. 再次感谢所有的朋友们，感谢现场的观众朋友，感谢在屏幕前支持我们炉石传说的朋友。这是 HCT 第一次在上海举办，在中国举办，我们真的非常的激动。我们最后再把掌声送给我们的会以及所有的选手，好吗 ？Thank you so much. See you next time. Bye bye.
Crowned the spring champion.
Let the word spread from tavern to tavern. From around the world, they journeyed to Shanghai, where the world's best players assembled for a test of wits, skills, and daring. For 3 days, they battled in a dazzling display of beautiful Hearthstone.
You monster!
16 players on a quest for glory, filled with drama and emotion.
Oh my goodness!
To each of them, we offer a joyous toast. Well played. And to the kings of spring, the 4 whom proved themselves most worthy, may your names be added to the game's eternal lore. We wish you well on your journey to the World Championship. As we extinguish the hearth on spring and the journey to Ungoro nears its conclusion, the road to the Summer Championship begins. Thank you for watching the Hearthstone Championship Tour. Until next time, job's done.